Welcome to Claiming Pleasure with Malika. Today we have an Aftercare episode with Lilli.
Hello.
Hi, Lilli.
Absolutely fantastic to listen to the last episode. I really enjoyed that.
I've been saying that it's the podcast I'd wished I'd had when I was in my 20s, when I was questioning everything and my sexuality and what pleasure meant, to learn how to talk about consent and even more to be able to communicate with something as safe as a hand massage.
I loved the idea of a hand massage, the idea of how self-contained we are to communicate, to even map or practice or play on our hand. I grew up with a whole lot of brothers in a small house. There was no way I was doing any bodily self-discovery in that growing environment. So to think about things on your hand, coolest idea. I love that one.
There's nothing precious about communicating how we want our hand to be touched and held and felt. It's such a great way to create safety and those communications. I'm very thankful for Stella coming on and sharing her experiences.
I thought so much of what she said made me, I really kind of had that breathe-in moment of, damn, Malika, this is beautiful. Yes, to warming this up.
Yeah.
I suppose there were a few things mentioned in there, and one of the fundamental things was the hand and the mapping and taking your time.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the amount of moments that she wanted to create in taking your time for yourself, taking your time on your discoveries, taking your time to communicate, taking your time to think it through, as well as taking your time to feel. And that separation, I suppose, that bodily feeling of sinking in to your own body, feeling your own body, and having your mind not be dominant is a practice that is difficult and I believe not spoken enough about. Yeah. How did you feel about that concept of the mind and the body and the way that they interplay during the conversation that we are having with ourselves as well as with others in terms of pleasure?
See, there's so much in that to unpack, Lilli. Because it is all connected, and the stories that we tell ourselves can become cemented in us, and it's so important to be able to have guidance and to challenge that. I thought it was quite remarkable, the idea of her holding her thumb, in someone's vulva. They've told themselves a story that my vulva hurts, my vagina hurts. But then when you actually break it down and go, well, this bit actually feels okay, this bit hurts, this bit's all right, that bit actually feels good. And giving ourselves new stories where we can thrive and have joy and pleasure and kindness to ourselves. Being aware is how we change things, and being aware of those stories and being aware of that connection is how things transform.
Yeah, for me, that triggers a couple of thoughts. One of those thoughts is that recently when I was spending some time at a retreat, it was with Gina Chick, and she has this saying that awareness is a solvent, that being aware is the solvent.
Mm-hmm.
I really have been using that as a bit of a mantra since. And then the other thing about that comes up for me is that I have been doing the Grief Educator Certificate with David Kessler. And in that, he really does make this distinction between there are events and there is the story we tell ourselves around those events. And learning to recognize the events And then the story helps us to change that story, to realign that story. That story could have been one thing at a certain age, and the events are what they are. There's no changing that. But we can change the story we attach to those events. And yeah, that really strikes me as relevant to what you're saying right now.
Yes.
There was this moment actually for me when you were saying about coercive control, really, that suki behavior, or am I putting my own word on that? It was, there was emotional...
Guilt-tripping, blackmail.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
All of that.
And I didn't realize that it was coercive control until years later. I thought it was just keeping the peace. And I'm sure they didn't realize either that it was abusive and a power play. Again, awareness is a solvent. I love that. So now that I'm aware, I mean, I would never go through that again. I would never put myself through that. But you just don't know what you don't know until you know.
Yeah. Yep. And I think too is like, it's one of those strategies you use as a child. You know, again, from a big family, you can try being angry, you can try being sooky, you can try being the screamer, you can try being the runaway kid, you can try being...
People-pleasing kid.
Yeah. But in a big family, you test out all of these roles, and you know, it's going to work for some, but it's not going to work in others. And maybe that is a part of the learning that we all go through. And it's in relationship that we learn.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a beautiful learning. The other thing I was thinking about was that writing down 10 wants.
Oh, yes. And letting them choose which of the wants to play with.
Yeah, but she also was saying, which I thought was the moment for me, was that none of these wants have to ever be fulfilled. It's just acknowledging within myself that I have wants. That slammed me. I was like, oh, wow. There's always that thing in school where, you know, is this a want or is this a need? Yes, you can, but may I? Kind of, you know, that language kind of fiddliness that I've always sort of gone, ugh. But that finicky has always made me a bit near. Although that moment when she said you can just write down a list of wants and honor that you have wants, I liked that a lot.
And what if we got what we wanted? I also really liked how no is a complete sentence. I still would love to run a no workshop with you and a yes workshop, practicing saying, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't like that. And yes as well, because that really resonated with me. The whole, it's easier to give to others than it is to take, but it's important to have balance in our life, that we take as much as we give and we give as much as we take. I also thought that was important with therapists, that they take support, but not from family and friends necessarily. That they need to lean on their own support network and their own health and well-being routines and therapies. Because I think when we are givers and healers, we don't always take care of ourselves and our own needs. And that's really important. It's also really important we don't put that burden on the people that are closest to us that we love, because they will take it.
Yeah, healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know. Imagine it. Healthy boundaries. You know, I've worked in a DV centre for a number of years now. They talk a lot about it. You know, there's no factor that joins all the people who experience DV. You know, there's no one factor. It's not income, it's not socioeconomics, it's not culture, it's not religion, and there absolutely is not a single one of them. I think the factor that I come across is not having healthy, solid boundaries. That is the one element that is shared amongst all of the people that spend time within that centre. And learning boundaries, learning that we are worth having boundaries, learning that a healthy relationship has boundaries within it, learning that we have to do our emotional learning within ourselves and not impose our anger, not overflood our need to feed someone every day, not overflood our temper, not our disappointments, that all of these have boundaries in relationship, and our relationships need to be able to articulate boundaries, establish boundaries, and have asks within them. And those asks are very much about a boundary as well.
Oh, to be happy, healthy, safe, and with good boundaries. Well, we're working on it.
We're all working on it. No one's perfect. Oh, my goodness. Here's to working on it.
Oh, well, we're going to spend a lifetime working on it.
Yeah.
Rising up, because we go back and forwards and up and down. And as long as we can keep sort of progressing further in a positive way, I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah, I think of it as a dance. And as long as we keep dancing, and the dance becomes a dance of pleasure and joy and feeling right within our bodies and with others in relationships, whether they be caring relationships, sexual relationships, friendships, work relationships, that dance is a continuous, ongoing, beautiful rhythm. Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we had this aftercare, because there were a couple of questions I forgot to ask Stella that I think were really important. And I'm sure we'll go over this with other people as we keep going. I'll let Stella answer in her own words.
Hi, it's Stella Topaz, reflecting on the podcast we did, Malika. I wanted to first acknowledge that my language around gender, bodies and sexuality was less expansive and inclusive than I would want. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I wanted to talk to the presence of all different kinds of bodies, cis bodies, trans bodies, non-binary bodies, gender queer bodies, and also say that we all have different names for our genitals, and often the clinical names can be a useful kind of shared language around bodies, but they can also be excluding for some people. So I wanted to acknowledge that language has power and bring that back in a way that I didn't when I first spoke. There's two questions that you put to me, Malika, that I wanted to speak to. The first was about, is it normal that our bodies respond positively to abuse, and how do we make peace with that? Oh, such an important question. I have some thoughts. I'm sure there's others who can speak to this as well. For me, I see it as a conflict between the mind-body, and often a lot of what we're seeking in our lives is a congruence between our body-mind, our mind-body. And this is one example where the mind-body is in conflict and it causes distress. So some kind of action or touch or engagement with another person might be totally against what we want. It's non-consensual, or it's coercive, it's controlling, or it's hurtful. You know, our mind knows this, and our body at some level knows this, but our body might also respond with physiological responses that mimic a wanted response. They mimic a sense of association with turn on or pleasure, and it's in conflict with the context. So how to make peace with this, I don't fully know, because I'm not a therapist, but my experience, my encouragement would be have compassion for the terrible kind of conflict that this can produce when my mind and my body are sending me different messages. The knowledge that this was unwanted, coercive, abusive is totally the priority here. That is what matters. That is what you know to be true. And your body is responding from a place of physiological response. And that is not about the context or the meaning. It's about the pathways in the body. I don't know if that's helpful, but I would be working with strengthening the connection between mind body for future to repair and soothe, and to be able to recognize that that is possible, and that also there'll be times when there's conflict between mind body, and that is totally understandable and does happen. There's nothing wrong with you. It is, you're in a crisis situation of some sort, and the signals are conflictual. The other question was about if someone wants to have an orgasm and they can't, or they're really wanting one and they can't. That is such a big question, and there's huge industries built around trying to help people have orgasms, especially people with clitorises and vulvas. then on the other side, there's huge industries around erectile dysfunction or around early ejaculation. So these can be present for people of all kinds of bodies. My experience is more with bodies with vulvas and vaginas and trans bodies. My approach is to say that it won't be like a 4-part plan and then on week 4 you'll have an orgasm. That's not my approach. My approach is how can we explore this together? Some of the ways that I would approach that would be understanding what is missing and what is wanted. What does somebody understand or believe that an orgasm is if they haven't had one, or have they had orgasms in the past and now they're not able to access them? Kind of a bit of mapping of the story and the desire. What do you know about your body? What do you enjoy on your body? How do you like to be touched? Do you touch yourself? Do you masturbate? Do you look at your own genitals? Do you want to do this exploration with a partner or another person? Do you want to do this on your own? Those kinds of things. And then the principles I'd bring to that again is go slow, learn stuff about yourself, go slow, practice, try things out, be willing to try things that feel appealing. You might be someone that wants to try visualizations or touch or sex toys or whatever it is that might stimulate you. And if any of those things don't appeal, then you don't have to do them. Open up possibilities. Orgasm has so many different meanings for different people. What is it that you're hoping for? Some people focus orgasm as being just about the clitoris or a particular response. Some people see orgasm as a whole spiritual experience or a whole of body experience. So it's really important to open up these discussions and to be able to go slow with moving through these and to look for where the pleasure is and the enjoyment. It's really normal for this to come with grief or frustration or sadness. And the body is not going to respond if we're acting from that place of anger or frustration, but it might respond if we come from curiosity and delight and pleasure. That's just a little about how I work, and other people work in other ways.
How did we finish off the last one, Lilli?
Well, being someone with an excellent memory and during menopause, I have no idea.
I think we probably said something like, that was great talking, thanks for listening, follow us on Substack, or...
Oh, I love the whole nah thing.
Nah,
it's time to go.
nah.
We're done here.
So thank you for listening to Lilli and I on Aftercare, and as I said, follow us to know when more episodes drop. Follow us on Substack. Feel free to ask us any questions and we'll try to answer as best we can. And anything else you want to say, Lilli?
Nah.
Keep looking for those glimmers and keep being kind to yourself. Thank you.